Welcome to Wildly Capable with Kate, a podcast made for those looking to unleash their wildest capabilities. I'm your host, Kate Durocher, a dating, relationship, and self-worth coach on a mission to help people build better relationships, starting with the one they have with themselves. In each episode, we'll dig deep, turn inwards, and embark on a transformative journey. Together, we'll break free from unhealthy patterns, rip through self-limiting beliefs, heal past wounds, and build unwavering self-worth, all to create healthier relationships as a result. Get ready to explore the wild, untapped potential within you. Are you ready to see just how wildly capable you are? Subscribe now and join us on this empowering adventure. Remember, your wildest capabilities await. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Wildly Capable with Kate. Today I'm honestly coming to you all with a bit of a, I guess you would say heavy heart. I'm just feeling a bit down, a bit exhausted, a bit burnt out, a bit emotional, anxious, lots of emotions happening. And I almost didn't record any episodes today, although today, it's a Friday, is my normal day to record my podcast episodes because it's the one day of the week that I don't take on any client calls. But I wanted to record it anyway, despite how I'm feeling, because I am so committed to this podcast and to releasing one episode a week every Tuesday. Not necessarily because I have so many people listening, but because it's something I'm extremely passionate about. And in the past, I have given up on the things I'm passionate about, or I have jumped from project to project just because I found like some new exciting thing after another, and I never stuck through with one thing. So to me, this podcast is a gift to all of you, me sharing my heart, the things I've learned, the things that I help coach people through, but it's also a gift to myself to prove to myself that I can stick with things. So even though I'm feeling just like low energy today, I decided to show up anyway. And the other reason I decided to record a podcast episode after all, even though I'm feeling down, is because what I want to talk to you all about today is how healing happens in the in-between moments. And ironically, the reason I'm feeling down is because I think I'm going through just a little bit of a stage of healing. And I thought, well, okay, what better time to record a podcast episode on this topic than when you yourself are experiencing it? And that's something I've always tried to do through my platforms, through social media, through my coaching, is show up authentically. So if I'm not feeling 100% healed, healthy, whole, all the above, I'm not going to lie to you all and say that I am. Say that I am having an amazing day or week or month when maybe I'm not. And before I get into what I mean when I say healing happens in the in-betweens, let me first just explain that nothing bad is going on in my life. I just happen to have a hard week. And it was a hard week followed by one of the most amazing weeks of my life. I was in LA last week for numerous reasons. One of those reasons was to do engagement photos for Bobby and I, which was a blast. Another reason was to ask my pastor and mentor and hero, Kim McManus, the pastor of Mosaic Global at Mosaic, a church in LA, to officiate my wedding. That was an incredible experience, just being able to share with her how much she meant to me and have her say yes to stepping into such a sacred space in my life. Another reason was for my bridal shower. So my maid of honors, I have two, threw me a bridal shower while I was in LA. The original reason that we even went to LA, where we moved from a year ago, was to go to Lewis Howes' Summit of Greatness conference. Lewis Howes has been a big inspiration in my fiance Bobby's life, and he had his conference in LA this year instead of Ohio, so we decided to join and make the most out of our trip by doing those other things that I just mentioned too. So it was a big, big week. A lot happened. A lot of really beautiful, important, even transformational things happened. But at the same time, right after that week, I came into kind of the opposite in the past 5 days. So I went to LA, had an incredible week. Then the following week, this past week, was really challenging. Some things came up while I was in LA that were just tough and messy and nothing bad, just things that I had to work through with some people and face conflict head on. So while we have done that and while we worked through it, and it's been really powerful for the people that I was working through it with, it also was heavy and it was a lot. And I think it especially was a lot because I came off of a high from one week and went into a low of the next week, one after another. So my emotions were just kind of on a roller coaster, which is challenging, period. But what's made it extra challenging is actually walking through those tough conversations. And while the outcome is great, the actual act of doing that is really difficult. You have to hold a lot of space for your own emotions, for the other person's emotions. You have to see different perspectives. You have to be open-minded. You have to hold yourself accountable while also, honoring your own boundaries and needs and voice. And that's draining. While it's a beautiful, incredible thing to do, and some of the best relationships are shaped through conflict, that doesn't mean that it doesn't come with a lot of emotional weight at the same time. So combine a few difficult conversations with a really triggering experience that I had through a separate conversation after that. I'm not going to go into detail, but basically I just had a call with a client that I coach for a company that I do coaching for on the side. It's not one of my own dating and relationship clients. It's a separate client. The conversation was incredibly demeaning and condescending and just really hard. And I was very triggered throughout the entire thing, but had to maintain a level of professionalism to get through the call. And it took a lot out of me. So add that on top of the many conversations that I had already had that week, and I'm just feeling burnt out right now. And I would expect myself to feel as emotionally drained as I feel right now because of that. So instead of just powering through those emotions and ignoring them and pushing them to the side and continuing about my day or my week as I normally would outside of recording this podcast, I am allowing myself to rest. I am allowing myself to just take a couple nights off where I am alone, where I am in my own energy, where I am giving to myself everything I need, maybe things that I need from other people, I'm giving to myself from myself first and foremost. And that looks like canceling plans with friends, with new friends here in Austin that I'm trying to build community with. It looks like just going easy on myself when it comes to work. It looks like just kind of taking a step back and doing things that fill my cup. Reading, walking my dogs, meditating, things that I know are healthy for me and will allow me to just be. Will allow me to just be by myself, be in my own energy, pay attention to my own thoughts and emotions, and work through them in my own timing. And as you may know, I recently hosted my first retreat, the Wildly Capable Women's Retreat. I hosted it at the end of August, the start of September, and throughout the retreat, oh my goodness, we were doing so much healing work, me and the other 10 women who I was with. I was facilitating different activities and different talks that would help those women dive into the deepest parts of themselves and the deepest parts of their souls and their inner child and figure out where their patterns, behaviors, and mindsets around dating and relationships and their own relationship with themselves, their own self-worth may be coming from. So they were heavy topics, they were heavy discussions and activities, all designed to create breakthroughs, but they were still emotional and a lot. So I saw a lot of shifts happen within the women, but it wasn't in the activities or in the discussions that I saw the shifts happen. It was in the downtime. So there would be moments throughout the weekend, throughout the retreat, where I didn't have an activity planned, where I didn't have a workshop or a talk prepared for them. And it'd be in between the moments where I had something and we were stepping into doing something else. There'd be maybe an hour or two in between. And in those moments, I found myself panicking. I found myself thinking, oh my gosh, the women are not getting enough value out of this weekend. They must be so bored, just kind of like sitting around, lounging at the pool, hanging out with each other, journaling. I started to panic and think that I wasn't doing enough as a coach and as a facilitator for the weekend for them. And as I'm in my own head thinking like, oh my gosh, should I come up with something else? Should we do another activity? Do I need to pose another journal prompt or another thoughtful question? What do I need to do to make sure that every second of our time is filled? I'm in my own head. I'm panicking. I'm thinking about all these things. And then at the end of the day, I would ask the women, hey, what was your favorite part of today? Like, what felt the most impactful for you? And every single one of the women said that it was the downtime that was the most important to them. And I couldn't believe it. I thought the exact opposite. I thought it would be the horseback riding or the yoga or the sound bath that they would bring up. And while, of course, they loved those experiences taught them so much and brought so much out of them. It was the in-between moments that what they learned in those activities could come to fruition. They needed that downtime to process, to make sense of what they had just experienced, to understand the emotions that came with the experience. They needed the rest to be able to make sense of everything going on inside their brains and inside their hearts. And that's what prompted me to create this podcast episode about how healing happens in the in-between moments. And it tied in so nicely with what I'm experiencing this week, where big things, important things happen, lessons were learned, and now I need to take time to actually implement those lessons into my life. I need to be able to process and give myself grace and compassion and space to be able to make sense of how those things are shifting inside of me, how the lessons I learned are impacting me, how I can actually integrate those experiences with who I am, with my character, with my integrity. So I need the time, just like the girls in my retreat needed the time to fully make sense of what was swimming around inside of them, to fully integrate and implement all the things that they were learning. It is in the in-between moments that the healing happens. And I think it's really easy to forget that. It's easy to see rest and periods of doing nothing. I did air quotes there for anybody who's not watching the video. Periods of doing nothing, air quotes, as lazy or procrastinating or weak. It's easy to see rest as us being unproductive. But I want you all to know that rest itself is an action. It's a verb. It is not a noun. It is actually something that requires action. Even when you are resting, you are doing something, and you are doing something productive. You are doing something that can help you go from where you just were to where you want to be, because you're using that time to heal, to process, to integrate, to improve, to make sense of. Rest is necessary to actually go from point A to point B. If we don't take the time to rest, we just run on autopilot and we get into this state of fight or flight or just constant hustle. And we're not able to actually reflect and make sense of all that we're experiencing or all that we are processing or learning. We need that time to be able to do that. We need rest to actually be able to propel into the next thing that's waiting around the corner for us. Rest itself is an action, and it's an important one. And it's one that I hope myself and everybody else listening to this can start to pay more attention to and give to ourselves more. Because truly, it is those moments of rest where everything else can kind of just flow and come together. I have a friend who works for Element, the hydration company, and they have an incredible business model where they work for 3 weeks out of the month, and then 1 full week, they don't work. They rest, they play, they explore, they use that time to travel or to just sit back and enjoy their lives, to just sit back, relax, and rest. And I think that is such a beautiful thing that Element has created, because it is teaching their employees the value of being, the value of resting, the value of not always being on and pursuing and achieving when we are constantly chasing the next thing, when we are constantly trying to become better, trying to develop. that can actually happen because we have no time to implement. We have no time to make sense of everything that's happening. We have no time to process. So I think Element's way of thinking is just so incredible and so healing for anybody who works for them. And it's a tool that I want anybody listening to this to learn too, just how important rest is. Rest is so necessary. It is so good. It takes bravery and courage to even be able to do it because of the stigma that's around it. So if you are in a season of maybe you just went through a lot of really hard things, maybe you went through a breakup, maybe you experienced some changes in your friendships, maybe you lost your job, maybe you're struggling with some boundaries with your family, maybe you're just in a really high stress situation because of your career or because of financial reasons, I don't know. Maybe you just went through something challenging. I would really encourage you as you come out of that season, to give yourself a season of rest next. Because in the downtime, you will be able to make sense of everything that happened, and then you will be able to carry the beautiful lessons you learned from it into your future forever. So take some time, rest. If that means taking a month to just kind of be alone, if it means taking a few days to not go out with friends, whatever that rest looks like for you, give it to yourself. Like I said, it's Friday, so I'm going to spend this weekend just giving myself what my body and my nervous system needs. And right now it just needs to relax. It just needs to watch TV and eat chocolate and do nothing that requires my social battery, nothing that requires too much of my energy. I need to just process and make sense of all the things I've just gone through in the past week, so that way I can carry the important, valuable things I've learned into my next week and into my future self. Healing happens in the in-between, so give yourself that downtime. It is one of the most beautiful things you can do for yourself and for your future. That's it, you guys. It was a pretty quick episode this week because, like I said, I am drained and I'm exhausted, and I want to honor myself at the same time while still showing up in the best way I can, which maybe is at 50% right now. But I hope that me even showing up in that 50% just helps you guys feel safe to be able to learn the things that I'm learning to be able to slow down and rest and give yourself what you need, whatever that may look like. I hope that in me being authentic and real with you, it gives you guys some peace and some comfort too, to be able to do the same. So thank you guys for tuning in. It means a lot. I hope that this episode gives some sort of value to somebody listening. I hope it reminds you to rest and to take some time because you deserve it, because it is necessary, because it is healthy, because rest in itself is an action. I will keep saying it over and over and over because it's true. And if you are interested in diving into more topics like this, please follow me on Instagram or TikTok. My handle is at Coach Kate Durocher on both. I would love to just connect with you and meet you and be able to continue to share with you the things that I'm learning about dating, relationships, self-worth, and inner healing. So follow me, and then be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast. Leave me a review. Let me know your thoughts. It helps so much to be able to get this out to a wider audience. So please let me know your thoughts. Please share it with a friend. And if you are interested in coaching, head to my website, coachkatedurocher.com, fill out my coaching application, and I will reach out to set up a call. I would love to meet you guys. I would love to connect. I would love to continue these conversations. So thank you in advance for your support. And please be sure to like, subscribe, follow, all the things so we can continue to dive into these topics together. Thank you all again. This is Wildly Capable with Kate, and I'm your host, Kate Durocher. I will see you here next time. Thank you all.